Okay.
Like, I don't know, how do you run into something, and he'll say something about observation. I had to tune him out because he just...
Oh, you shouldn't tune out your grandpa. You won't have him forever. They're a rich fountain of information.
Yeah, but he's annoying.
You know what? Probably not. Okay. What is he saying when he says something about observation?
He's like, well, one time we were at the lake.
To observe in a scientific sense, I have to remember to hit pause. It means to watch, to listen, to smell. Because an observation is just something you collect with your senses. Okay? Okay, so an observation is information gathered through your five senses. What does it say about observation in here?
It employs one or more of the five senses.
To perceive an object or event. Yeah. And we can make an observation about an object. We can make an observation about an event. This was a handout Mrs. Haylett used to use. It was scientific habits of mind. So thinking like a scientist. And one of the big ones, the first one, is just being observant. When you jump to a conclusion based on your observations, so when you look at all those things I got out and you say, you had a bunch of candles. Yes, sir. Let me pause. When you jump to the next piece, which is you had a bunch of candles, you're no longer observing. You're making an inference. You're inferring. You're coming to a conclusion that's based on your observations and your past experience. Because you all have lots of past experience. The trick of observing and thinking scientifically is not to jump to the conclusion, but just to record the facts. Just the facts. And not make an assumption based on them. Okay, so data. What is data? Yes, ma'am.
Like, information, like collected something.
Okay, it's information. To start with, I mean, you can say very simply that data is information, and we're talking about really scientific information. So, data is scientific information. When I gave you that big, horrible, awful, stupid test that you didn't know a lot of the stuff on, what I'm collecting on you is data. My data is how much of that stuff you know at the beginning of the year. Okay? Now, I'll take more data at the end of the year. I'll give you the same test, and we'll see how you do. And then I will have data on how much you know at the end of the year. But data is just, it's information in a scientific sense. Yes, I'm studying you like little lab rats because the state of Ohio says I have to. Isn't that sweet? I'll bring you some alfalfa chews, I promise. My little guinea pigs. Okay. Data is just scientific information. But we have two big breakdowns of data. We have quantitative data and qualitative data. Where did you see that prefix quant before? In another of your words? Quantify, which meant what?
Attach a number.
Attach a number to it. Well, you got it. Okay. Quantitative data is data that includes numbers. Okay? So when we talked about you running your research experiments, your project, your swimming after eating, your parents and eyesight, much of what you had was quantitative data. It's data with numbers. So their eyesight score, 20 out of 20, 2020, 2040, 2060, 2200. I think 2200 is the threshold for legally blind. Quantitative data is data with numbers. What do you think qualitative data is? Well, in a manner of speaking. So if we talk about like all the fine qualities that someone has. So I got to spend some time with friends over the weekend, and one who I hadn't seen in a long time, and like, I forgot what wonderful qualities she has. Like, what am I talking about? Her features, a description of her. You know, she's very thoughtful, and you know, I like the way she thinks, and she's funny as all get out. Okay, I'm describing her qualities. Can I put a number to that? She has a funniness score of 17. I mean, I suppose I could put a number to her IQ, but I don't think the kind of smart she is can be measured with IQ exactly. I'm describing her qualities. Qualitative data is descriptive. If I say I have a small number of students, that's qualitative. If I say I have 12 students, that's quantitative. So qualitative is data that describes. So in studies of mood, in psychological studies, if they study things like depression, okay, there have been a lot of studies of the effect of different things, whether they be drugs or environment or whatever, on depression. If I come in and I ask you a simple question like, so if I have 100 people and I give half of them aspirin every day, I want to see if aspirin makes a difference in depression. And the other half get nothing. And every day they come in and I say, are you depressed? It's just yes or no. What kind of data is that going to give me? Is it going to describe, or is it going to put a number on it? It's just going to describe. There's no number. Now, if you come in and I say, how would you rate your depression on a scale of 0 to 5? That's going to be quantitative data. We're going to get some numbers to attach to this. Okay, so quantitative data, we have numbers to attach to it. We have quantified something. Qualitative data is just descriptive. I'd like you all to go take a look out the window at the pond. Go. Now. I go too. If we take this jug of pond water and we hold it up to the light, it's going to look kind of greenish because all those algae are performing photosynthesis. They have chlorophyll, that lovely green chemical in them that allows them to take sunlight and make sugar and sort of accidentally make oxygen, which is convenient for us. And that would be what kind of data if we say the water in the pond is dark green.
It'd be quantitative.
Qualitative, it's descriptive. Now, we could hold it up against other things that are green and compare colors and, you know, say it's lime green or it's forest green or it's hunter green. It's the same green as this screen. That would all be qualitative data. Now, if we take a tiny little bit of this pond water, so we take a little scooper, we take a tiny little dip, and we actually count the algae in there, and we say there are 352 algae organisms per milliliter of water. What kind of data do we have now? Quantitative. And believe it or not, somebody does that stuff. I personally have counted bacteria in stream water samples. You don't count the actual bacteria. You let them grow, and then you count how many little spots grew. It's still no fun. But, yeah. So we use both kinds of data in biology. We use both kinds of data. All right. We're going to pause there. I want to revisit, well, I won't pause yet. I want to revisit an idea. So one of the things that I noticed a lot of you had problems with on the quiz that we took on Thursday. If you didn't take the quiz on Thursday, I will exempt you from it. You guys are going to do a retake. And so you'll need to take, You weren't here at all, so you didn't take it at all. You weren't here at all, you didn't take it at all. You were here, you took it, and then you left. Okay. Getting it straight. I'm quantifying who didn't. Yes, quantifying. 3 people. 2 people need to take it. The analogy I came up with in the other class this morning, and I think it really helped them, was this. When we're talking about an independent variable, so if you go back to that part of your notes, the independent variable, the scientist changes. The dependent variable, the scientist measures. So you change this, you measure that. So you change whether or not they get chocolate, you measure how many zits they have. You change whether or not they get carrots, you measure how good their eyesight is. You change whether or not they get coffee, you measure how much they grew. So that's the question to ask yourself, and we will have a little review quiz on that tomorrow. So tomorrow when you walk in, you'll have another little 4-question quiz. You'll have a few more on independent versus dependent, and we'll also have a few about these terms. And then we'll finish up these and get on to the next thing. Questions, comments, concerns? 9? Yeah, 9? Okay. Did you all have a good long weekend? Are you rested?
I watched Back to the Future.
Okay. I haven't seen those in years. I couldn't do a movie marathon on a nice weekend.
It was funny watching number 2 because it takes place in 2015. And I'm just
Nice.
like, where's that?
Yeah, sure. Yes, sir.
Do you watch Doctor Who?
Nope.
No.
Nope.
You gotta watch it.